Thank you, Angie Amra Anderson, for an absolutely brilliant workshop. Total performer that you are. We really appreciate that. It's very informative, very enlightening, and you're just so full of talent. And we appreciate your workshop. Thank you very much. Our next workshop now is going to be presented to us by another well-seasoned performer. His name is Patrice Naiambana, and he is going to present for us a workshop entitled An African Diaspora Performance Dialogue. And I'm sure you're going to find this most interesting. Um, Let me introduce Patrice Naiambana.
Hello everybody, how you doing? My name is Patrice Naiambana, and thank you very much, John, for just asking me to do this. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a chat, or let's say a travelogue, using my experiences in diaspora, African diaspora performance, okay? And I'll be covering 5 productions, let's say starting from 2016 up to the end of 2019. But I want to just start first of all with a little bit of something that I learned in Sierra Leone with Tabule Theatre in 1984. This was an amazing company, African theatre company that was founded and run by Dele Charlie, the late great Dele Charlie, a playwright and teacher and a writer who took his troupe to lift and travel the world. And I had the good fortune to start my performance vocation in Tabule Theatre with amazing artists, Dennis Nelson Streeter, Yusuf Ujalo, so many others. I won't have time to go into a whole bunch of names because I want to cover quite a bit. And just having a look at the aesthetics that our ancestors were grounded in, and how that has translated or not translated throughout major productions in the UK. Okay, so I had the good fortune to be in a gig called Fatmata. Fatmata was a dance drama, what we call African dance drama. Now, all the performers, all the artists in Tabule Theatre were required to dance, to sing, to understand rhythm, to play instruments, tell stories, act, go and market, go and help raise money, right? That was just part and parcel of being an African performing artist. Right? Obviously, you had areas you specialized in, but none of this. So I'm not a musician, I'm not a singer, I'm not a dancer. And at the heart of all that, of course, is rhythm and ensemble work. Fact Matter was a story that I was asked to be in because I just followed the troupe onto a ship. I just went to watch. And the guy playing one of the characters hadn't turned up. Before I knew it, literally 5 minutes before the show was to start, Dele said, "Patrice, you need to play strongman." I said, "I don't know what to do. I've never seen it before." He said, "Just watch the others and listen to the music, listen to the drums." And so that's how I started. And so Fatmata goes a little bit like this, right? The whole troupe comes in with music, drums and singing, and they do a greeting to the, what's going on here? Hang on. Oh yes, I'm okay. And they do a greeting to the whole village, as it were, right? And the village sometimes would answer, right? So they welcome, they introduce themselves, and they say they're coming from far. And please have water for us, have food for us. Anyway, we have a story to tell. Then the main chief storyteller would come forward. One day, yeah, one titi bin the pass. He fine like ball, yeah. He name Fat Mata. Okay, so right in that call at the end, you heard call and you heard the response, okay? That runs all the way through. The call and response with the people telling the stories, with the villagers, and with your own people that are on stage. So Fat Mata was a story about a beautiful girl whose father wanted her to get married. And she was, I'm not getting married, I'm too beautiful. And the richest farmer in the world came, she turned him down. The strongest man in the world, that was the character I was asked to play, came and turned him down. All the most amazing people came, she turned every suitor down. And finally a stranger came. Hey me, emi muinye kele ko peye mimni. Emi muinye kele ko peye mimni. O jaja mula kutao, o pakaminela o na o jaja o bi, o jaja o jaja o bi, o jaja o hey. And when Fat Mata heard the voice, she became besotted. She didn't even see him, she just heard the voice. Anyway, now you have to understand that every time a suitor comes, the rhythm changes, the dances changes, the chorus is engaging different rhythm, different movements, right? So the handsome stranger turns up singing this wonderful song. The dad goes, no, we don't know this guy. Does anybody know him? No, we don't know him. Does anybody know him? Do we know what job he has? Do we know where he's from? No. Do we know his people? No. But now this I want. Now Imilek. Now Lek. I don't want the other one there. I want this man. Okay, fine. So they have a big feast, obviously. More drumming. More dancing. And then the whole village falls asleep. And in the middle of the night, in the honeymoon chamber, the handsome stranger turns into a great big. The whole village wakes up. And of course, it's been a terrible nightmare, disaster. The handsome stranger turned into a devil and he ran out and was chased away. All that glitters is not gold. And the father and the daughter, they went on to another level of their relationship. Story come, story go. He left Pauna. Story come, story go. He left Pauna. So that was just a very, very rushed rendition on Fat Mata. And how I was expected to learn on the spot by listening to the rhythm. How did I know the movements of strongman? I had to listen to the rhythm. Ching chang ching, ching gang ching, ching gang ching, ching gang ching, ching gang ching, chicken. Yeah, so I moved my body and I had to make it up, but I was listening. All right. So now, little crash course in African dance drama. Now, In 1988, I did a show called Ragamuffin, which was presented by Double L Theatre, an amazing theatre company, and I was based in Camden, and the director was Amani Naftali, and we had Papa Levi, specialist chat. We had Pamela Marag, choreographer. We had all these specialists in capoeira, in talking drum, African dance, and dancehall. And the actors were trained in these various forms in the during the rehearsal. Obviously, we needed them very specifically, but it was a grounding in African diaspora performing aesthetics that I actually haven't come across in most major productions since then. Okay. That was in 1989, Ragamuffin, an incredible play, which was set in Broadwater Farm and in Haiti, and Amani juxtaposed the history of the resistance and the revolution that happened in Haiti amongst the Africans, and the Broadwater Farm uprising. The question was, there was a very deep, meaningful question. But the thing is, the aesthetics that we utilized were very much grounded in the African imaginary. And we had these great specialists, as I say, that were top of their field, and they were woven into the production. So the actors really had to, the performers had to learn certain things. I remember one song, now the police force, them don't respect we all day and night, them a take a liberty, if them see a black man a drive a Audi, BMW or a Mercedes, then fly down on him automatically, and swear say him get it done lawfully, them would prefer for see him in a mash up Capri, with one dozen dent and the front trusty, so police move your backside from we property, we are ragamuffin, revolutionary. So that's just a little bit of example, but obviously there were different genres, different styles. We had lovers rock, and it was just an incredible piece, very successful, standing ovations every night. We did a whole bunch of performances. We traveled all over Britain, and I believe it was revived about 10 years later, Birmingham Rep, and then it went all the way around the UK. Now that particular production was incredible. Was probably I would say a production which defined what an African performing artist is. Okay, we traversed the diasporic terrain linguistically, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and the raison d'etre of why a story in our imaginary is delivered to pay respects to the ancestors, and also to bring stories that really need to speak to communities, our communities, to uplift, to ameliorate trauma, to heal. A very decolonial impulse in that production. Now, I'm going to fast forward to 2016. Because from 2016 to 2019, I had the honor and pleasure of being in 4 incredible productions that were mainstream. Now you have more plays, more productions, more stories, more performers from the diaspora. They're now British blacks. Okay, British experience. But what I found interesting is from 1989 to 2016, talking to actors, young actors who are coming through the performance or drama academe, who actually had very little experience or engagement with African diaspora performance aesthetics. I don't know what other intercultural engagement they may have had. Me, I'm not trained. I'm just trying. I don't know. I'm not formally trained. So I apprenticed in Tabule Theatre and Bakanda Theatre when I got to England. So I want to talk a little bit about Yalode of Eti, which is Utopia's Theatre first major production. And this was a transposition of the Duchess of Malfi into pre-colonial Nigeria. Now, Moji Sola Elufowoju is the founder and director of Utopia Theatre. And she made makes and continues to make a very conscious decision that her work is going to be based in the African imaginary, is going to have a direct relationship with African culture, aesthetic, and aesthesis. So again, all the principles of movement, of proverbs, of why you tell a story, of culture, of the way you move, the way you, the various etiquettes, the songs, the spiritual underpinning, the ritual elements of our culture are imbued in the performance and the rehearsal process. So the warm-up will be songs, movement. There'll be a live performer, drummer, in this case, Ayon the first cultural ambassador, somebody who has specialized in this particular instrument, talking drum, from a little boy. So he's coming into the rehearsal room with centuries of classical technique, traditional technique within his culture, Yoruba culture. And also we had Shola Akibola, percussionist. We had a number of other Yoruba people, actors, but not all of them were. I was not. You had Tunde Yuba, and it was a real education to be amongst. You had KNA Bankole, one of the leading actresses in Nigeria today, highly trained, but also highly immersed in the culture and aesthetics. So this was, and if you go online and you look at the trailers, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The flavors, the smells, the ambience was all steeped in Yoruba Nigerian culture. Now, obviously, I was having to learn very, very fast, but the fascination for me was how it linked with commonalities in the African dance, traditional drama, Fatmata, that I just very briefly flashed before you. So we did that. That production was preceded by a research and development process in which Moji got a group of us together, and in 1 week, I think we managed to get like an hour of the production, script in hand, not script and without, and we just went for it. And we got to the heart of the meat of it by performing this Yalode Oveti, and then later they got more money. And then we did the full production, which went to Leeds, West Yorkshire Playhouse, went around, and people liked it. Very, very strong production. Now, the next one I did was The Secret Lives of Baba Shegi's Wives. That also had a period of research and development, which we did at the Theatre Royal Stratford East in one of their little lab wooden huts. And again, this was directed by Femi Elufowoju Jr. And again, you had Shola Akingbola, someone that had gone to his country and had done his best to study, get hold of his culture. This guy was born here, but he realized that he had a whole history and cultural reservoir of information to draw upon. Now, Femi himself was now vibing off a book that Lola Shoyeng wrote, so it had to be adapted. However, in the research and development, we had wonderful performers, and some of them were Yoruba, some of them were not, or some of them were distant from their, their roots. or their past, but they were very open to learn. And again, this became a crash course to learn about our aesthetics and movement and speech. And this also went on to be an incredible production, I think maybe 2.5 years later, at the Akola Theatre. Broke all box office records at the Akola Theatre, sold out every single night. And one of the incredible things about this particular performance is that the call and response was something that lived within the alchemy of the audience engagement with the story that was being told, to the point where our sentences often were finished off by the audience, by the villagers. They knew, or they audibly, we were encouraged to play to them, and keep the story moving at the same time. And that's a direct line all the way from the African dance drama. And within the piece itself, there were a number of sort of movements and dances which were powered by live instrumentation by the actors. And but for someone like me, that is not Yoruba, I had to learn certain songs that I was not used to, because Yoruba is a tonal language. So I'll give you a bit of example of one of the things that I had to learn, or the type of songs that became de rigueur. Now, Femi Olufowoju knew it is culture, so he's able to direct from embedded knowledge. He's a directing, not just from a Eurocentric, Anglocentric perspective, but it's a directing from his culture. Now, one song that took me ages to get, but I think it goes like, and it's like a call or a praise. Odunde Keledu afayo kariwa Agberoko bodunde Owing beyond loko wa. Got that wrong. Hey, some Yoruba people are going to be laughing at me. But I got the first 3 sentences right. That last one, I've done it for ages. But what does it mean? It means the sweetness of the festival has come. May Almighty God bestow goodness upon everyone. The farmer is about to harvest. The crops are germinating and will bring forth, I guess, fruitfulness. Okay. So now what's interesting about that sensibility is where it takes you spiritually, where it takes you emotionally. The drums then kick in, the curvilinear aesthetics are moving, the way the sound, the way the drums are following the language. Yeah. What's interesting about that is you are forced as a performer to extend yourself, right? Especially if it is not your culture. And I find this enriches and deepens the imaginative circumference of your soul, especially if you're African. But you don't need to be African. You can, like we have to learn Shakespeare, to be or not to be, that is the question. Yeah. So it's something I think that I found very enriching and challenging, as you noticed on that last line. But it's like with any piece, you just keep learning, etc., etc. Thank God they didn't ask me to sing that during the production. So again, you can see a lineage, a heritage lineage going all the way back to the principles of African dance drama or African storytelling, right? You can hear the land, the reverence for land, where we all get our food from. You can hear in the translation, the divinity, the sacred is within the songs, is within the culture, will infiltrate the process. It makes the ensemble move and behave to each other in a particular way. Because obviously we're singing and we're dancing every day, right? As warm-ups, we're using the movements that we're going to encounter in the piece as our warm-ups, which then is affecting our body, which therefore is helping us to get alphabets for our characters and how we're reacting and responding to each other's physical semiotics. Okay? So let's just move briefly on now, quickly on to New Nigerians. New Nigerians, written by Dipo Agboluaji, is written about 14 plays and directed by Rosamond Hart. And again, this was commissioned by the Akola Theatre in their Revolution season. Mehmet and the producers at the Akola deserve huge respect, for they programmed commissioned a brand new play to sit alongside Chekhov and I think Gorky in the Revolution season, right? I think no other theatre in the whole of the UK would even think of doing that, right? And this was a play about three-hander, about a prominent trade union man that wanted to change Nigeria and run for president, and it had, very strong woman in there, played by Bemi Ikumulu, and Tunde Yuba, again, Nigerians, connected culturally to the playwright's sensibilities. Now, people, will tell you outright, when I write for an African audience. I'm writing to that which I know and the sensibilities from which I come from. And again, there was a direct audience. I played greatness, and I was encouraged to address the audience and speak to them and encourage them to interact with us and what was going on. And this didn't have singing and dancing and drumming. However, the sensibilities, the turn of phrase, the pitching, the type of humor, the sardonic attack, the irony, all something that's very recognizable in an African context, because we had many different people from different parts of the world, in fact, found this particular play highly relatable. Okay, but this was quite a word-heavy play, I would say, compared to the other examples that I've given you. And then I'll move on to Barbershop Chronicles. So now we're hey, wait, don't go away. I have to put the, my power is running out. Okay, all right. So now Barbershop by Inua Elams, written by Inua and directed by Bijan Shebani. Great play, had a lot of success at the National, and then it went to different places around the globe. Cast of 12. All the all the stories were set in some part of Africa, I think 6 countries, and Peckham, one barbershop in Peckham. And what's so interesting about this piece, We never, in rehearsals, approached African performance aesthetics consciously. I mean, it was never mentioned, in fact, in the entire process. However, Enwa had gone to these countries and sat in barbershops in Africa, listening and soaking in, the sensibilities, turns of phrases, the way we talk, the way we philosophize and talk about politics, and a lot of very current things. And generally, we, as my experience anyway, in Africa, the politics is very personal and the philosophy is personal, right? Hence our plenty proverbs. And, all the way through the piece, Inwa was so observant. But what I noticed is that from 1989, from Ragamuffin, the more you get more into the mainstream, which is where when you are in the mainstream, then you have arrived, you are really somebody, people can watch you and big casting directors will come and see you, and then your agents can now put you up to go to Hollywood and go to these great, fantastic places. But the understanding and respect and value of African aesthetics, because, we live in a pluriversal world, right? There are many different ways of being and doing. Okay? But I noticed that the understanding of the interiority of difference was not so there, and however, Bijan and the choreographer Aline, they were very good at appreciating if you came out with something that, whatever you came out with, let's see, whether it was some extra something in the move or whatever, and they were quick to say, let's have that, let's have that. In fact, I was playing this, it's like a tom piano, can you see it? I was playing this in the breaks or whenever I was bored. In fact, I wasn't really bored. I need to get connected with my culture, where I'm from, wherever I am. I need to do that because that's what makes me who I am and therefore an artist, you understand? So I was playing that. Bishan went, hey, can we have that just as the Ugandan scene is about to start? So I was very happy. I ended up doing a little bit of live underscoring to one of the scenes. So that was quite interesting. Now, I didn't tell you who transposed Duchess of Malfi right into pre-colonial Nigeria, Yalode of Eti. That was Debo Oluwatuminu. Oluwatuminu, yes, that's how to pronounce it. So now we move to Tree. So I was in Tree. I was playing like a mystical gardener guy, which is set in South Africa. This was created by Idris Elba and Kwame Kwei-Ama. And this was an interesting production, right? Because 38 minutes of this show was physical movement, dance, dialogue. And we had 6 incredible dancers who were steeped or very close to, or had great value, or valued rather, the aesthetics of their ancestors, right? 2 or 3 of them, I think, were South Africans. So they had their culture and their understanding of movement, dance, your feet on the earth, just in their bodies. We also had the choreographer Gregory Makoma, contemporary African contemporary dancer choreographer. We had a great story from Idris Elba, he's an African, and Kwame Kwe Ama, who is he's an African, and very much inspired by history, aesthetics, and narratives going back, way back through our ancestral lines. Okay, and this particular piece, based in South Africa, about reconciliation, land, and family. If you saw a tree and you understood or you grasped anything from the African dance drama little illustration I gave at the start of this, you will see very much that there's so many linkages there. So we were moving into the supernatural, we were moving into the ritual, we were moving into using just words. So 1 minute will be, two people standing talking like in a play. But then you had these 6 invisible figures who were the dancers, who were the spirits, who were hovering in, hovering out, and suddenly coming right in and just grabbing them and moving them round and setting down our man, our quester, who, biracial character who had grown up in England but had to go back to South Africa. And then in order to find out what happened to his long lost African dad, was taken through the spiritual realms, through the dancers moving him into a nightmare, into a dream, and then positing him in the pool of revelation of his past. Yeah, very much African, traditional African dance drama. But we didn't discuss it like that in rehearsal. This came out of the imagination of these 2 great guys, Idris and Kwame. And Kwame, through his travels, through his sensibilities, through his deep spiritual, he approaches performance spiritually, right? And I could see the process took me all the way back to 1989 with Amani Naftali in Ragamuffin, and all the way back to 1984 when we were performing African traditional dance drama on ships, in marketplaces, engaging with the audience. The villagers make us, as we try to tell, as we pull story, we say we pull story. That is Creole for we're going to tell you a story. African diaspora performance is a thing. Now, from 1989 to 2019, last year, before the pandemic, I've not met anybody who's actually been trained in African diaspora performance, aesthetic and aesthesis. I mean, in England, maybe 1 or 2 people who have done it in Nigeria or Ghana, because you can do degrees in African theater, And I think it's important that we try to create more opportunities for people to study our aesthetics. Now, you've got obviously dancers and choreographers who do workshops, etc., etc. But I see a need and a richness that our aesthetics and aesthesis can provide in drama training. for anybody. Otherwise, you just end up with a hierarchy of aesthetics. And that just won't do. But anyway, life moves on, innit? Life evolves, innit? So those of you of good faith, support those. Ask them about their ancestral allegiance. Because in every line of our past, there's things we can learn and glean that can help us in our training curricula. Because the training curricula holds gems of post-colonial literacy. This post-colonial literacy is what will help us to critically approach human flourishing. You don't think so? Man, I think so. Catch you later. Oh, got it at last.
Thank you, Patrice, for such a heartfelt, enlightening and informative presentation. It was so full of knowledge, and lots of the shows that you were talking about I've seen, and the memories. But thank you. Thank you, thank you. We are going to continue with the storytelling element of our event, and we're going to continue with a griot, a true griot, who I feel needs no introduction. She has worked nationally and internationally and has done works tirelessly within African heritage communities and other communities here in the UK for many years. We are going to hear from Griot Chinyere, who's going to demonstrate and elaborate on her form of griot storytelling and what it is to be a griot. So I hand over to Griot Chinyere. Griot Chinyere. Go ahead, Griot.
What is a story? A story is a spell performed by a storyteller by applying the craft of storytelling. A group of well-constructed words spoken or written for the purposes of enchanting or captivating the imagination of one or many people. By planting visions, thoughts and ideas for well-being, prosperity and healing, the spell is cast through the skills, ability and wisdom of the storyteller. The purpose of the spell is to bring the listener and the teller further along their path of enlightenment. Words are formed to conjure images, visions and experiences through which the listener gains knowledge, understanding, healing and love of self, their environment, their community, and their purpose. One of the important elements of storytelling, of the storytelling spell, is the aloshi. We know as archetypes, the energies, the characters, the voices that drive the story, that help us map and define our spiritual growth. What is an aloshi? An aloshi in Igbo culture refers to our deities we honor and serve as part of our spiritual practice. We have a list of many different aloshi, and each has its own energy and purpose associated with the earth, rivers, sun, moon, the stars, the planets, the air, the wind, spring water, the natural forces and divine energies of the universe. They act as forces for guidance, protection, and learning. These aloshi are the energies we call upon to tell a story and to find solutions, glean messages. They are the archetypes found in our stories that drive the story forward. The aloshi are powerful beings And the concept of Alushi, stroke archetypes, are the building blocks of the universal language of storytelling. Becoming aware of the Alushi can only expand the command of the craft. The recognition of these Alushi patterns enables the storyteller to cast her spell powerfully. The inner standing is as essential to the storyteller as breath. Know your Alushi, know their power, know how to adapt them, how to use them to tell the story and drive the energy in a way that it needs to go. What did I say? Storytelling is a ritual. A ritual. A ritual refers to a group of actions performed for their symbolic value. Ritual has a structure and process. Structure refers to the general outline of the overall form of the ritual. Structure is the repeatable component of any ritual. As it was done in the beginning, so it will be done now and into the future. See if you recognize ritual in the storytelling, in the theatre that you see today. It is the scaffold on which rituals are built. Structure is the scaffold upon which rituals are built. It is the order of the events, and it lays the groundwork for a proper understanding of process or the content of all ritual expression. Structurally, all rituals involve a symbolic cleansing, and they are designed like journeys with deliberate obstacles to overcome, to be surmounted and or negotiated. And it is these elements that have transitioned to become the performative theatrical dimension to what was once a ritual process. Through the storytelling ritual, we answer our various needs to belong to a group. The rituals of storytelling is when the storyteller shares a story with an audience supported by particular elements. What are those elements? The elements of storytelling ritual include a sacred space and objects. The space the storyteller has chosen could be a natural inhabitant, a temple, riverbank, ether, mountaintop. And in these times, well, once upon a time in these times, it was a theatre space, an amphitheatre, outdoor, indoors. Now we are telling stories via Zoom, via stream. That's now become our space. The set, what is added to the space to create the ambience, to call specific energies. Flowers, plants, herbs, incense, furniture. In the beginning, there was only Chinyere, feminine, melanin-rich, conscious womb. This feminine, melanin-rich, conscious energy called Chinyere wished to express herself creatively. From out of her melanin-rich, conscious womb came the first stars, creating the first solar system. These stars are guiding stars, holding the stories of the universe. From her melanin-rich, conscious womb also came the sun, the moon, planets. And with each creation, the feminine, melanin-rich, conscious womb shares a piece of her soul, a piece of her chi energy. One of these planets being Naiambana, Mother Earth. The spirits that occupy the stars in the universe see Mother Earth and love her beauty, her wisdom, her power, and they wish to land on her surface. The first indigenous people are made from feminine carbon matter, making them rich in melanin. They are sacred, and the land upon which they first arrive is also sacred land, Naiambana, Mother Earth. They land at the source of the Harpy River, the longest river on Mother's Earth. Their bodies are completed from the elements of Mother's Earth. The indigenous people continue to emit and absorb light as they had done when they hung in the sky. This feminine melanin-rich conscious womb creates a soulmate for the feminine energy, and he becomes her right hand. The feminine loves the masculine, for he is an expression of her strength, knowledge, and wisdom. Chi is our personal life force, our spirit guardian, individual providence, and it dictates our life purpose. So this is the beginning upon which all my principles, Griot, Chinyere, and values stem from, upon which all my values and principles are built. This is Ubuntu. I am because we are, therefore I am. This is Ndo in Igbo culture. I get you, I got you, I feel you. As a star landing on the earth, I inhale my first breath and embrace this new way of being. I journey from full joying the gifts Mother Earth shares with me. I listen to and remember who I am from the stories told by the divine womb of creation through meditation. I pass these stories on to the next generation so they remain connected to the source and they always remember to give thanks for the gift of life. Through the stories, I connect the invisible with the visible, the tangible with the intangible, the past, the present, and the future realms of my being. When my purpose is fulfilled, I affirm I will make the choice to exhale the last breath, return my spirit to the cosmos and my body to the earth. Great uprising. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here, to be able to speak to you all through this medium. And I thank John Salisman for inviting me to this very essential and important conversation about the origins and history of Black British theatre. I thank Amantha for introducing me to John and for her wonderful, great talent. I am referred to as Griot, Chinyere, Wabani, Griot, Chinyere, Wabani, Griot, Chinyere, Wabani, Griot, Chinyere, Wabani. What's my name? Griot is a French word describing a cultural tradition of the melanin-rich indigenous beings of the universe, a word created specifically for us by Europeans, as it is not a cultural tradition from their heritage. I use the term griot as it is popular and widely understood. That may all change, but for now, griot. And it does describe who I am, what I do. My responsibility as a griot is to be the teller of tales, the bringer of messages, the guardian of culture, the keeper of mystery, and the holder of sacred space. I am responsible for maintaining the oral traditions, maintaining an oral record of a community's journey through the generations in the form of storytelling, movement, rhythm, chanting, affirmations, and other art forms. Chinyere is my name. It's an Igbo name, Chinyere, and it means divinely given. It's the name that my community gave to me, Chinyere. Nwobani is my last name, and that means child of treasured earth.